So new data showing that the trade war against China has taken a toll on Beijing. U.S. imports out of China have hit a 17-year low, accounting for about 15% of imports over the past year. Wow, that surprises me. That's down from a peak of 22% in 2018. Larry Kudlow, host of Kudlow and Fox Business, 4 o'clock Eastern every day. Larry, how you doing? Good morning to you. Larry, the legend, we call him. I want to get to oil prices in a moment because this big decision in Alaska, what the Saudis are doing. But what do you make of the changing business relationship between the U.S. and Beijing?
Well, look, China is still guilty of unfair trading practices. China is still guilty of intellectual property theft. They're still guilty of forced technology transfers. So they don't play by the rules. And the U.S., the Trump tariffs punish them for this. A deal was reached, but I don't think China has lived up to that deal. They're not buying the commodities. They haven't, done nearly enough on IP theft. So, we're giving China the cold shoulder. And China also has not recovered from their crazy COVID lockdowns. They haven't recovered from that. So the economy is in very bad shape, and they're falling behind. And I'd like the Bidens to be even tougher on China. But the Bidens have basically followed Trump's lead, as best I can tell, at least on trade, not necessarily other things. So the trade is shifting, right? It's going to Vietnam. It's going to Thailand. It's going to India. It's going to Mexico. Mm-hmm. I love the USMCA deal that Trump struck in 2019, 2020 is working. It's working because it's a fair trade deal. It has good domestic content, and it has good intellectual property theft laws. So Mexico is now surging. Some of these Asian countries, Thailand, Vietnam, maybe India, they're surging
Vietnam
too.
Especially,
and China's being... China. Well, you've got Thailand, you've got Malaysia. It's very interesting. But I do think, in general, we must observe the trade principle of reciprocity. Okay? We have to raise tariffs and lower tariffs based on what our competitors are doing. That's a different subject and a different segment, but I still think that's part of the deal.
All right, let's talk about oil. The OPEC's cutting. Saudis are leading the way on that yet again, at least to the end of this year, I believe. Putin's got a vote in all this because of the Ukraine war. And yesterday, President Biden is trying to block off 10 million acres of ANWR, northern Alaskan slope, away from production. That's the proposal. I think the state might have a say in this in the end. But you were part of those Trump leases, and apparently they're not going to happen, or at least this administration gets its wish. What's the effect of that on people filling up their car?
This is sheer insanity. The sheer, complete insanity. Okay? You are back now on the world markets, Bill. Oil prices are moving back towards $100. Saudi Arabia and Russia are cutting production. Not a whimper of protest from the Bidens. And instead, they go out and take out all of the Trump leases in ANWR and have now put 40% of that whole landmass, which is one of the largest oil and gas reservoirs in the world, they've said they're off bounds. You can't use that. So sure. So now we are, instead of energy dominant, we are relying on the Saudis, on our dear friends in Russia, on our dear friends in Venezuela, on our dear friends in Iran. I mean, you tell me, gasoline prices nationwide are moving back towards $4. Out in the West, they're well over $5. In the Northeast, they're close to $5. This stuff was $2.10 or 20 cents 2.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, really? Really? And this is all done because of something called climate change and the Green New Deal. And you got, I don't know if you've read the papers on this, you've got 1,600 scientists, including 2 Nobel Prize winners, who say there is no existential risk emergency on climate, and they disagree with these policies. In fact, they've said, several of them have said, the emergency idea is a hoax.
No, it's a good,
Biden is playing into the hands of some of the worst actors in the world. I've never seen it, and he's damaging, obviously, consumers and businesses here at home. This is insanity.
Continue at
Sheer
4 o'clock
insanity.
Eastern Time. Larry, thanks for coming on. See you later on Fox Business. Larry the Legend.
Bill.
Thank you.